Yeah. I love your smile.
Oh.
It's so pure. Nice speaking to you.
And
Talking to you about nothing. I saw you on YouTube and you spoke so clearly about non-duality. I was impressed. So I thought it would be nice to speak to you. And I don't know if I really have questions, but maybe we can just see what comes up.
Yeah, sure.
Before the me collapse, were you on a spiritual path?
I mean, I wouldn't say, of course, yeah, you could say, but I wouldn't sort of say this so-called spiritual path was for that long, and not even that obvious, if that makes sense, to sort of someone looking on, let's say, from the outside. I wasn't sort of part of any official groups or really going a lot regularly to sort of meetings or satsangs or anything like that. It was quite, in terms of sort of being calling myself and actually into spirituality, I never sort of went that far, but
Okay.
But no, of course, definitely. I mean, yeah, I was towards the end, turn to spirituality, into non-duality then, really.
And you met speakers like Andreas Müller and Tony Parsons?
Well, yeah, both of those actually, and that was all. I watched a lot of YouTube and stuff, and yeah, but to be honest, there was an apparent awakening, which I'd had sort of when I was going around visiting some, of course it's not related to anything in this sense, but it just so happened I was at a monastery at the time, a Buddhist monastery. So I was sort of exploring those sorts of things, and then
and meditating a lot.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Getting up very, very early, doing this whole sort of practice and that sort of thing. But again, that was very casual. Like I did that when I went there, but at home, it wasn't sort of a very strict thing in this way. But yeah, I hadn't actually come across this message at all, and this so-called awakening sort of happened, and there was I'd never even heard of Tony or this so-called message. So it was actually after that, you could say, that then someone at the monastery actually mentioned Tony, and then obviously it's kind of a bit of a snowball from there in that sense.
Oh yeah. And is there a lot, your life has changed a lot, or?
Well, insofar as
with meditation and all that kind of things, I think.
Oh, do you mean back then, or
after the collapse?
Oh, well, of course, it's the end of my life in that sense. So, no, life hasn't changed. And that's the funny thing in that sense. It's exactly the same. There's just no longer this apparent me that was never there.
Yeah.
So my life's changed in the fact that my life's ended, you could say.
But you're so young. It's so nice that somebody so young still is already finished with all those.
I know. I didn't last long.
No.
Yeah, I only managed 22 years, and then that was enough.
Yeah. So maybe there's less neurosis and that kind of things and patterns what goes years and years, and it's in the body mind. I'm at big old. I'm 56, and years I was stuck in that beliefs, and for you, but you still just a few years and then finished.
I mean, yeah, of course, you know, it would seem that the body, you could say, would become more, you know, that saying like old habits die hard, they sort of become more ingrained maybe with time in this way, let's say. But as a seeker, I mean, there isn't a seeker that isn't intense, of course, but I would say that there was certainly a lot of intensity to the seeking, and as I say, that's just seeking, really. So there was nothing special or different about my seeking, but there did seem to be a lot of neuroses in that sense. It seems that some so-called people or bodies seem to sort of just get by or whatever without this intense neuroses, maybe. Of course, there may still be, of course, this sense of being someone, but this apparent someone can seem a little bit more easygoing or whatever. Whereas here, there seemed to be quite a tense individual, you could say. And in many ways, it's funny because that's still sort of, the body just still plays out, you know, the patterns and the habits.
Patterns, yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in this sense, after this apparent collapse, there's just seems to be this quite neurotic body then.
Yeah. And it's not, there's never is a me, so that's it's inside the body, or the body mind system is doing what it's doing.
Exactly.
And
it's there's obviously no longer this sense of it happening to someone, but there's just almost this quite tense body that's sort of left, you could say, just and it just seems to I mean, obviously this I only died, so to speak, a few months ago now, so but there just seems to be a general relaxation, you could say, sort of slowly. I mean, but there's no one who really cares about that or needs to feel relaxed.
No, there's no one who is experiencing anymore those things, and it's going by itself or something like
one
that.
could say so. Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, probably hesitant to use the word healing, because obviously in this whole thing there's the person seems to be quite obsessive about healing, and that they have to heal themselves. But in this way, it seems you could say that the body just, it seems to, well, one could say, just cleanse itself of these sort of patterns that have built up around protecting this artificial person. But I'm not even sure on that word, to be honest, because you could say it makes it sound as if these neuroses are bad, which of course they're not. They're just neuroses.
And for me, it's like the emotions, for example, are now much stronger than before, because there's no strategy anymore to deal with it. I have the feeling. So it's, when there's sadness, it's huge. It's only sadness. Or when there's anger, before there was now anger is not allowed, so there was a kind of strategy on it, so to repress it or suppress it, or how do you say that? And now it's full on.
Oh, totally. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes what's going on?
Exactly. That's
very sort of total or something. It's this. It's for me, it's new or something. I cannot explain it. So,
Oh, 100%, totally, just full on life, you could say.
There's no control anymore.
Exactly, and that thing that thought, or even thought it could be the filter or was the filter, is just no longer there. I mean, of course it was never there, but so this sort of sense of life, you know, having to sort it out, or as you say, deal with the emotions. If there's sadness, I think the person so often, as you say, wants to fix, especially the so-called bad emotions, sadness, anger, grief. And so there's then no longer someone obviously wanting to fix that. So it's just, as you say, full on sadness, full on pain, and total
and to deal with it before it became a kind of a habit to deal with bad feelings and have a belief of what is good and what is bad, and after it's still it's an addiction or a habit to deal with negative feelings or whatever negative is, because it's only an idea. And so it's strange. So it's working, still doing, or I don't know how to say, my English not so good.
No, I know exactly
what I mean.
What you're saying. It is funny in that sense, because as you say, even the body still seems addicted to avoiding the pain or fixing, and it's just what's happening. So of course the person then would try to fix and then see the fixing as wrong, so then try to fix, but also, no, I shouldn't be fixing, I should be letting go or allow or accepting or whatever. So
and before I also had a lot of expectations what it would be when you are free, and there's no anger anymore, and it's only bliss and peace, and I love every person I came across, and but it's total difference. So it's also, it was only an image.
Oh, totally. Exactly. A total image, a total idea of sort of, you know, being kind to everyone, accepting and compassionate. And of course this happens, but it's everything. So
and for me also, it seems like the character is even more strong in its positive and negative qualities or something than before, because it is just the way, and I was so used to be polite and pleasing and that kind of things.
Exactly. So there's moodiness without anyone feeling guilty about being moody. There's just full on moodiness, anger, but also obviously happiness, joy, just full on.
And not anymore to feel regret or shame or all that kind of feelings are not really feelings, because it's more like a judgment or an how do you say, behavior, and there is no control to behave like I used to do, so something like that. And
exactly, this sort of additional layer of kind of ruminating, or as you say,
ruminating
ruminating. So sort of replaying what's happened. Could I have done that differently, or should I have said that, or I mean, just sort of totally collapses in this sense, as you say, there's no one there who is analyzing what appears to be happening in that way.
And Your smile is so nice. And your friends, can you speak with them about this? Some friends or
well, I mean, there's just there's no one to tell in that sense. So there's no sort of urge to speak about anything sort of to do with, let's say, non-duality. But if it sort of comes up, there's also no sort of holding back. It's just very natural. But I mean, it hasn't really come up. It's come up with family a little bit, but my impression is just obviously each so-called person, there seems to be a different level of openness, you could say.
Yeah.
And it's quite, funny, really. It could be mentioned, this sort of type of communication, let's say, and there can just be a total rejection, like a total, just, it's just bonkers, like almost just total theory in this sense.
Total?
Theory.
Yeah,
Like what I'm saying or what's being said is just a concept, an idea.
Yeah. That's how the person hears it, or yeah. But maybe there's a sense that people can feel something. You don't know.
There can be, with certain conversations, there seems to be
when
more.
there's an openness.
Yeah, you could say so. But I mean, yeah, it's just, it's just beautiful in the sense of there's just nothing to tell, no one to tell. And so,
No.
if it as a story, if someone just totally, it's totally rejected as craziness or whatever, then that's just what's happening. There's no one trying to convince anyone or teach.
No.
Totally not. So.
And before that, were you someone who was trying to convince people or not? You've never been so, maybe that
not,
way.
I mean, not in like not as a kind of, I didn't have a hobby or a profession in sort of teaching
Oh no.
or a type of specific religion or doctrine that I kind of followed. So not in this sense, but of course there was, I mean, and this just is the person, really. You could say the person, actually, even if it's not a dogma or an actual teaching, the person is constantly trying to convince the so-called other or itself or life of something, of, that it is good enough, that it is on the right path, that it knows what's happening, whatever. So of course, when I still was someone, or when I was alive in this sense, yeah, of course there was this total trying to convince, but I mean, not, as I say, of a specific thing, but you could say in terms of, let's say, like people pleasing and this kind of thing. I mean, of course, that's just all the person trying to convince something.
Yeah.
Constant effort in that sense.
Yeah. And working on yourself and try to fix
exactly.
your neurosis and kind of, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, self-compassion, self-love. I've got into all
Self-love,
that. Yeah.
to get rid of the self-hatred and kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you start Zoom meetings. You like it?
Yeah. It's good fun. It's good fun. It's lovely to just chat with people, connect from all across the world as well, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're also going to do it in person?
Hopefully, I'm going to hopefully be in Brighton this summer, which is a friend of mine. He's asked me to speak at his. He hosts a few meetings, and that'll be nice because that's not too far from where I live. So,
oh yeah,
and it's really lovely down there. So it'll be a nice place by the sea. It's a good place for a meeting.
Oh, okay, nice. And are you still studying, or what you were finished with school, or?
Yeah. So I went to uni, and I actually did psychology.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was, I mean, actually, trying to think now, I think it was after, because I did it online and you could pause after a certain number of years, and sort of put it on hold and get an early qualification, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, just after this sort of apparent awakening happened, and that sort of shifted a lot of things, you could say, this sort of interest in psychology especially.
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, totally, in that sense.
Totally gone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just a total, it just totally impossible to even.
Yeah, to give a me teaching, to personal teaching is always to fix, or it's always the speaking to a person.
Exactly, totally. Just, I mean, total deep analysis of something that just doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah,
of course is fine, it's just what it is. But at the same time, for when there was still someone here, sort of in a halfway house, you could say, this was quite demotivating. I mean, if it happened now, you know, an interest in it, it just doesn't even seem possible to sort of be interested in this anymore.
no.
It's just totally not a thing.
No, I was busy with A Course in Miracles. I know that, no, you know
Yeah.
it. It's also a teaching, a personal teaching, but I didn't saw that. But now it's impossible to teach and to do all the lessons and the metaphysics and all that kind of things. And I thought then it was non-dual, but now I see it's total dualistic teaching. And so it was impossible to go that way. So it quit. Yeah. And now
Yeah.
what you are going to, you have another direction already, or you just live? Yeah, how do you, can you speak about it a little bit? Stupid
Well,
question maybe, but
well, I mean, it is, yeah, it's, there's no answer in this sense.
no.
I don't have I mean, there's no plans really. Just the Zooms are happening at the moment, and I guess maybe just see what happens there, whether that carries on or whether it takes another direction. But this whole thing, I mean, this was sort of a thing before, I could say, as a person. This whole sense, and this is seems to be a very common one for the person, is the career, obviously, to
Yeah,
sort of find, you know, find your purpose, find that thing that you're meant to do. And
yeah.
I mean, I was never one of those people that sort of, you know, I want to be a doctor, I want to do
No,
this.
never.
No,
I was still when you were a child, also not.
I mean, the one thing I used to love a lot was sport, and I always have really
Okay.
enjoyed playing lots of sports, watching sport, and I still do now. That still seems to happen a lot, to watch them, not so much playing. But so yeah, that's always been a hobby or a passion, you could say.
Maybe you can be a non-dual sport coach. I'm joking.
Yeah, set up a non-duality football match or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, no, it'd be good fun probably, but but that's always seemed to be just a very natural passion. So when you say sort of from a young age, I mean, I've always sort of had that in my life. But I mean, the sort of motivation to play a lot of sport now isn't there so
And to
much.
win, so that the
Oh yeah.
competition, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably still, you know, got that competitive streak, but but in terms of like, I think before, if I was looking to pursue a career, let's say in sports, it was
Yeah,
always definitely, you know, from this need for fulfillment or whatever, or
yeah.
this being the path or whatever. And so, but yeah, I mean, what to do now in that sense? I mean, I'm quite lucky the fact that I'm living with my parents still. So financially that makes things a lot easier. There's not pressure to
Pressure.
have to go and, you know, earn a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
money to pay rent or anything.
Mm.
But you know, the day will probably come. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Then you will see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, this sort of,
and ambition is totally gone, and of course.
I mean, in terms of getting something out of life or making something of my life, yeah, of course, yeah.
But there can be there are some interests like sport or wanting something without a real desire, but just wanting it. Is that still?
Yeah, of course, but it doesn't happen that often. And I mean, I'd be inclined to say not at all, but of course, in terms of natural wanting, you know, like I want to go on a walk with the dog, or I want to go to the beach or go out with my friends or whatever. But as you say, this desire behind it or this need is just totally not there. And so really a lot of the things, you know, before, let's say, or what the person seems to fill the day with or the weeks or look forward to, seems to be, you know, this constant drive to do something or be somewhere or be someone, and obviously that's just not there. So there's not really these big I mean, of course there just are no ambitions out of life. So to be a great sportswoman or to be a painter or a photographer, I mean, these hobbies might just happen, but there's no I mean, it's actually funny because before, if I did anything like photography, let's say, I quite like taking pictures, like I always had to have a reason behind it. Like, okay, well, maybe I'll post these online now and start a website, or I could sell them, or I could make an Instagram account or whatever. And there's just not that reason anymore. So there's just doing things, you could say, for the love of doing them with no sort of, no reason for that.
Oh yeah. No intention, maybe you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no goal, like it's not going anywhere, obviously. So just painting or drawing, just drawing.
Yeah. It's nice.
Oh, totally. Of course, one could say that's the freedom in that sense.
Yeah. That you don't want to get out of it, something out of it, or to have an upper layer of goal or something wanting, or it's necessary for fulfillment or for whatever.
Totally.
It's always for the person, there's a need to fulfill and to fill up the lack, or to there's always something is missing.
Exactly, totally. The person always, I mean, it just can't escape that. It's just how the apparent person seems to work. The person is the sense of lack.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no one who feels a sense of lack. The sense of being someone is the sense
the lack.
of being something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we said before, the in many ways it's funny because of course the body still seems to behave, one could say, out of habit, in this sense that something is missing. Body still seems, I mean, that seeking energy, you could say, is no longer on, you could say, in this sense, but the momentum still seems to be moving. The body just seems to do that, and I mean, that may just slow down, it may stop, it may not. I mean, it's just a habit in this way.
But there's nobody there who said, I need to get rid of my bad habit or something.
Exactly.
It's just a habit, and it's not good and it's not bad, it's neutral or something.
Yeah, you could just say total equanimity. It just is what it is. It's just a habit.
Equanimity was that?
Well, like neutral, like you say,
Yeah.
just not good, not bad. Just, I mean, obviously not even in the middle, but just no judgment on it. Not this extra layer of, okay, this is a good behavior or a good habit, or this is a bad habit. No, it's just what it is. Yeah, neutral, I guess, would be another word for equanimity.
Oh yeah.
I think equanimity, I think that probably is one I heard in my Buddhist days.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they use that in the sort of in the scriptures and whatever.
Oh, okay.
That's what sort of strive towards, you could say.
He was also into Advaita or not? Not Advaita.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of went obviously around these monasteries and stuff with Buddhism, and then towards the end, really, I only then came across Advaita. I think it was I read a book by Ramana Maharshi, and actually it was reading that book that this apparent awakening seemed to happen. Something seemed to shift energetically, because there was a lot of, I mean, the book was a lot of inquiry, and obviously that's, you know, seen now, that's just totally dualistic in that sense. But
yeah,
a lot of it was talking about, you know, a dream and questioning life, and is this a dream? And
yeah.
And yeah, I just remember something, I mean, obviously nothing happened, but then it felt like something shifted very much energetically.
Yeah, that was for me, was it also with Ramana? Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. With his picture and the books, and also with his picture was some kind of strange experience. And I look in that eyes and something happened, shifted. Yeah, I don't know, in the heart or whatever. Yeah. It was
Very similar actually. Now you say that, I remember something, because I had the book and I remember I was looking at the picture on the front, and something similar with maybe seeing there was no one in there or whatever, you know, this experience being at the time. But yeah,
I was meditating and I had a picture in front of me, but I was closed my eye and I opened my eyes. I don't know why. And I looked at the picture and suddenly I cannot explain what happened, but it was, my God, it's this. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, to be honest, I can't really remember the order of how this all, I mean, it just seems like a bit of a blur in that sense, obviously, but this, well, obviously a blur that never happened.
Blood, what sorry you say?
A blur that never happened, because it, you know, this is the thing, looking back, it's just totally impossible to say, well, there was a me, there wasn't a me, was, because there just never was one, which obviously is the total surprise in that sense. So thinking even that there was someone is just, I mean, I can't even really say it's a blur, because it just never happened.
It's a blur. What's that? A blur?
As in like a bit hazy memory, like it's a bit of a, you know, like a little bit how do I say, a blur, like a bit of a foggy memory, just not clear.
Okay.
You know, you look back and it's like
a vision or something in a vision.
Not vision, more like
Blur.
I'm not sure, you can translate it maybe.
Yeah, well, how do you spell it? B?
BLUR.
You and then you.
Yeah, BLUR, I think. Blurry.
Vage. Okay.
I'll try and word it differently. Well, just this idea that when, you know, when I sort of think back and think, if I'm asked like, when did this happen, or what led up to this apparent death, I mean, it all seems, this is where I'd use the word blur, like it all seems I can't remember in this sense, obviously, because there was never anyone. So that's the funny thing in many ways, is that the person would seem to think, you know, there'd be this apparent death, and then there'd be this death, and then this memory of when I was someone, and oh, you know, it was all this, and then I died. But that's the funny thing, is there's not this line of before and after death. It's just always this.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, so whatever the order was, so to speak, there was interest then in Advaita and more self-inquiry, like traditional Advaita, one could say, like Rupert, Francis, sort of who am I, and then sort of awareness thing, and I mean, yeah, that just then totally collapses, obviously.
Yeah. And for me, I cannot even listen to it anymore. It's for me, it's impossible to understand, or to it feels very strange when I hear something about Course in Miracles, for example. But I did the lessons every day and put it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and I was very busy with that, and now it's strange. It's a total change. Yeah. And with the Course in Miracles, it was, now the ego is not real, but there's a true self, and you have to let go the ego and to become the true self. But suddenly it's both not existing. It collapsed totally, like a balloon that popped. It's not only the ego doesn't exist, but there's no true self either. There's no human, there's no God. It's
exactly
God. Totally. It's the same. That's the duality. And it was nothing left. It's just, oh, okay.
Exactly. Suddenly one could say it's just sitting in a room on Zoom or whatever.
And
I mean, this obviously for the person, this whole thing of true self and deep, you know, it seems, I mean, out of, you know, obviously this all seeking takes many forms, but it seems so alluring, so seductive in this sense, you know, once I find my true self, it almost seems for the person as if it can, especially the spiritual person, let's say, that it understands intellectually, okay, there's this sense of lack, there's this, you know, there's not anyone actually here, the ego isn't me, whatever. But then it with all those concepts, it then hears this sort of thing with the true self or awareness, and it thinks, you know, that's it. That's why I feel this lack. This is really finally it. This is the message or whatever. And, you know, when I find this true self, or when the false self goes away, I mean,
finally I found my destination and my home and one day, and I know my home, and I'm on the good path, and there's no home for who you don't need a home for who.
Exactly. There's nowhere's home, everywhere's home in that sense. Just everything. But of course this can seem very painful for the person. I had a question on Zoom the other day actually, and it was about this thing of home. I mean, of course it's just another word, but the person can almost sense that this apparent message, let's say, is talking or feels like home. But of course, the person will never, ever, ever get home. Totally impossible. And I mean, here, certainly, that was quite painful when that was sort of properly heard, that I would never, ever get this.
Yeah. It's almost like grieving, or this sad and okay, and
Oh, totally. A lot of pain here, actually, because one could say, after this message was encountered or whatever, there was then seemed to be a sort of, well, I think this is what the person does. It seems to then pin all its hopes on this apparent liberation.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously what it just does its whole apparent life, but
Yeah.
it encounters this message with this word liberation, and with this, I mean, to the person it's only an idea, no one, and it just puts everything into that.
Yeah.
And of course that can be seem very painful. A lot of pain arise when it's
maybe you can pair it with, finally you find your soulmate and you think it's the one and only, and then it collapsed totally and you are desperate and no now.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah, or you find the ideal father for me was God, and it was well, I in the arms of God I can rest, and I'm almost there. I have just to forgive my brother, and then I am home, and God is waiting for me. Oh, eventually you are here. And that would be my death and my rebirth or resurrection or whatever. And then,
and then I can relax.
Yeah, then I finally can relax. And I can say to myself, well done, well done. Yeah, that's the story. Yeah, this is so stupid, but it's I call it a fairy tale. Sometimes it's the fairy tale of the me. And
oh, totally, exactly. And like you say, it wants to be the one that, of course, does that. And the me in this sense is the arrogance, one could say. Not in that term, it can be quite
unconscious arrogance or something.
Of course. I mean, it's very endearing in this sense, it just is what it's doing. Apparently, obviously it's not. And for me as well, there was growing up, sort of being educated, growing up in this system where, the harder you worked, the more you learnt academically and sort of used knowledge and intellect. You could work things out and work like problem solving in this sense. And of course, this whole apparent message then just becomes another problem to solve. And the person is determined they will get it. All these other me's may die, but I will be the one to survive.
Yeah. So and I will never give up till I find. Yeah.
I mean, you could say in that sense, it's the ultimate humbling.
Yeah.
It just the arrogant me, so to speak, will of course never ever get this.
No. Yeah. It's back to child, what's in the Bible, the kingdom of heaven. You have to become like a child, and you come with nothing, with no knowledge, because and that's like, it's sometimes it's a little bit back to childhood or something. It feels like that. You're just a child, you have no idea, you don't know anything about what does it mean, what does life mean, who am I, what I'm feeling. I don't know. And it doesn't care for a child either. It's just play around and love everybody, and everything, every moment is new and fresh, and it's nice, what's going on here? And that's sometimes it seems that I can see that as in some people, they're adults, they're child, like a child again, and an innocent child.
I mean, I was going to just say that word, total innocence. Yeah.
And that there is only innocence, but the so-called person is playing arrogance and is playing God, and I have the power to do and to come and to get my goals, and It's also it's like a game what children play sometimes also. Yeah, I'm the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. And the hero and the person then, I mean, it seems to either go on a mission to save the world or to save others or to save itself. It sees then itself as the victim and wants to save itself or whatever. And of course, this is already just totally impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, just total. Of course, there is no one in childlike wonder, but the body, you could say, seems to no longer have this, of course, no longer have this sort of apparent illusion. Or I think I've said before, it's sort of no longer under this apparent spell of being someone. And the body then just sort of seems to naturally just relax and just be what it is, just do what the body is.
Yeah. It's very normal and just being itself and doing what it's doing. And
exactly. And of course there seems to just be a lightness there and a natural just it just is what it is, obviously. And there's for the apparent person it's always has to be about something, like you say, and life has to mean something. And so then the body is something to the person. The body is then used to be good, look good, feel good, whatever, used as sort of a tool to have good experiences or feel fulfillment or whatever. And of course the body is, for the person, the body feels as if it's how it presents itself to the world. Or
it can use it. It's always trying to use it for his higher goal or something. I can, like een middel, hoe zeg je dat? Even kijken hoor. A resource?
A resource, yeah. Totally. Like a tool. Trying to use
a tool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it seems to either feel, I mean, it's obviously...
And that's also, that's dual, there's a person and I have a tool and I can use my tool to get what I want.
Exactly. Totally. And I mean, the person obviously is the confusion, and it already seems confused about, am I behind the eyes? Am I the body? Am I observing the body? It seems totally confused in this sense, obviously. There already is no one. And so it seems to then, but the body certainly feels as if I am the body, whether that's in, around, out, whatever. And so it seems then very important, how do I look? How do I sit? How am I coming across to another person? I mean,
it's continually identify with objects. He makes an object, and that's me. I'm the body, or I'm my soul, or I'm
the soul,
child of God, or whatever. And I have to behave like that image, and will never succeed, and goes on and on.
Oh, so this total sense of lack. And obviously then that's where in the spiritual world, so to speak, this sense of then purification comes in, trying to then be pure, be perfect. I mean, it's just totally exhausting. I mean, the person
so exhausting. Oh, it's so hard work for nothing.
Oh, totally. And
totally
almost
useless.
Even sometimes it seemed for me anyway that there was a sense that it was useless as well. And so that makes it almost
even more painful. You cannot stop it, and you know already it's useless, and it's the most terrible situation, maybe. It's like an addiction also, of course, I think, when you know it's bad for you, but you cannot stop it.
Oh, of course, the person is addiction in this sense.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, however seemingly subtle, just this constant sense of not enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not aware enough, not pure enough, not free enough, not happy enough, not rich enough, whatever. I mean, just always not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with this sort of childlike thing, I think that was certainly sensed here quite strongly, that this serious adulting sort of thing is just this, doesn't have to be this way in this sense.
Oh,
Of course, you know, this sense of me seems to arise before so-called adulthood, but I think that's, you know, there seems to be a lot of things now, you know, to heal the inner child, or to refine that inner child. So there seems to almost be this sense, one could say, but of course the person just could never do that. And this whole inner child then becomes a whole nother process thing.
yeah, yeah. And past lives you have to heal.
Oh,
You go further and further, and it will never. You healed this life, and then oh my, there's a past life, and oh, this was so horrible. So I have to again and again. Oh yeah, so exhausted. Yeah,
oh, totally exhausting, totally exhausting. You know, it's just,
yeah,
I mean, getting through one life is enough, let alone
yeah,
these 7 past lives, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's good news that it's just a dream. Eh?
In that sense, obviously,
Yeah,
there's
that's
just nothing wrong with
no.
nothing wrong with
There's nothing really happening. It feels so real, but it's not really going on. And for some people, when you can, yeah, communicate that, some people, it can be a moment of relaxation. Okay. Yes, yeah.
And just totally, I mean, I remember when I was listening to Andreas a lot on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
There was definitely a lot of, and I think the person that obviously does this projects everything onto this so-called speaker or person on the Zoom meetings or whatever. And you know, obviously there is no one in there, but it projects this idea of no one in there. So it's sort of, you know, well, there's something in there that's no one, or whatever it is. And sort of, you know, this person is special, or they're a guru, or there's something different about them.
Yeah.
And there was a moment here actually where it was just very clear that Andreas in this situation, and that he was just a normal person in this sense.
Yeah.
Obviously not a person, but just totally normal, and that what was being suggested was just totally normally this, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a lot of laughter then, just, you know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ordinariness.
Yeah. But I saw it also in your Zoom. I looked, I watched the view, or almost every Zoom, I think. I love it. And I also see the projections on you, and the questions, and the same was happening, apparently.
Of course, of course. I mean, it's just all the person can do is
Yeah.
just see another, whether it's the
Cannot,
object or a person.
yeah.
Yeah, just I mean, of course, if the person's been around these spiritual messages or ideas that, you know, or Course in Miracles or Christianity or whatever, there seems something a bit airy or magical or mystical about those sorts of things, and it then sort of expects that from this, you could say. And so, you know,
Yeah.
something has to happen. There has to be, you know, some feeling or some force that comes and, you know, enlightens me or whatever. And yeah.
Yeah.
All these wonderful stories seem to emerge.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, Izzy, is there something you want to share? Or
How do you mean?
I don't know, because I think, oh, maybe we can stop it now. But
Oh, of course, yeah.
and before that, saying, shall we quit? Or it was very nice talking to you. And so I said, is there something you want, maybe you want to share? Or that was the question.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
No, not, I mean.
When I ask a question, yeah, I realized it's a stupid question, but
Well, no, I mean, what do you mean in terms of the meetings or anything? In terms of saying when the meetings are, or
yeah,
just?
maybe you can share this. Yeah, why not?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah. A bit of advertising.
yeah, why not? You don't have to, but
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all on the YouTube, to be honest.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just doing a couple of Zooms a week at the moment. That's been for March anyway, but obviously we're coming to the end, so maybe the same in April. Who knows?
Yeah, I will put your email of your website on
Oh,
the description, and people can find you. And so it was very nice talking to you.
and you.
I loved it, and now maybe we will meet one
Yeah, yeah, who
day.
knows?
Never know.
Whereabouts are you? Are
Sorry.
you in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I live in Amsterdam. Yeah, yeah.
I've been there twice actually.
Okay.
I love it. It's so good.
Oh yeah, and you live in
Well,
in.
between London and Brighton, so it's
Oh,
quite rural, but nearish Brighton.
oh yeah, and you're also born there. You were born there.
I was born in Kent, which is the next county over, but yeah,
Hmm.
fairly close by.
Okay. Okay. Now, thank you, and maybe till next time.
Till next time, yeah.
Bye. See.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.